Okay, what's up, people? I'm back at you all again. I just want to just think of stuff that I can, some positive stuff or whatever, uh, and talk about it. I was trying to talk about a little bit of history and stuff like that, and how what our language and our culture was taken from us. It was script. It was script of our nationality and culture and stuff, things of that nature. So I guess let me go on Strickler on that channel and let me see. Is it coming up? Yeah, let me see something here. So maybe I can't leave it like that. Yeah, because but anyway, people. Let me go back on the other channel. Yeah. All right. Then let me see if I can come up with something interesting, I can talk about, Okay, let's do this here. Was Tyndale and Wycliffe was Israelites? He was tried of a chance of heresy in the 15th and was condemned to be born. 'Tyndale, from what I see, from what I read in the Great Controversy a while back, it says that he was, after he was burnt at the stake, his dead body was burned. They say his dead body after they killed him. That means his dead body, put his body in fire and burnt it. They did a lot of them like this here. How did Wycliffe die?
The cause of death of Phyllis Wheatley was...
How did Wycliffe die?
The cause of death of John Wycliffe was stroke.
A Christmas in 1384, Wycliffe was at Mass in the church at Lutterworth on December the 28th, when he had a stroke and collapsed. He had suffered a previous stroke a year or two before the second one proved fatal. He never spoke another word and died on the 31st. Wycliffe condemned as a heretic. History today. I remember looking at a lot of these people. Let me do this here right quick. What nation of people was Wycliffe?
John Wycliffe was influenced by Augustine, William of Ockham, others.
What nation of people was Wycliffe? Oh, hold on. What nation of people was Wycliffe?
John Wycliffe was influenced by Augustine of Hippo, William of Ockham, and others.
They not saying Wycliffe. John Wycliffe was an English scholastic philosopher. He was a study of theology and stuff like that. Wycliffe believed every Christian should study the Bible. When he met with opposition to the translation, he replied, Christ and his apostles taught the people in that tongue that was best known to them. John Wycliffe, Wycliffe also spelled Wycliffe, or Wycliffe, born 1330. England, died. He died the 31st of 1384. Latterworth, okay, that the theologian, philosopher, church reformer, and promoter of the first completed translation of the Bible into English. That's what it means. Some of the words was kind of hard, but y'all pretty much get what I'm saying. There was so much going on. Praying for Columbus and why people, Wycliffe, well, Christopher Columbus. Who is Christopher Columbus?
According to Wikipedia, Christopher Columbus was an Italian explorer, navigator, and colonist who completed 4 voyages across the Atlantic Ocean under the auspices of the Catholic monarchs of Spain.
Yeah, Christopher Columbus was an Italian. That's what he was. He was from the nation of an Italian explorer, navigator, and the colors who completed for across the Atlantic Ocean under the Catholic monarchs of Spain, Italy. Christopher Columbus was an Italian. What nation of people is the Irish people?
According to Wikipedia, the population of Ireland is about 6.3 million, and it is estimated that 50 to 80 million people around the world have Irish forebears, making the Irish diaspora one of the largest of any nation.
Historically, the immigrated from Ireland has been the result of conflict, fame, and economic and issues. The Irish and all of those people were the ones that teamed up. The Italians is the ones that crucified Christ. Irish and German and all of that, that's Carthy White and all of that. The population of Ireland is about 6 to 3 million, but it is estimated that 50 to 80 million people around the world have Irish forebears, making the Irish deplorable, deplore, one of the largest of any nation. Historically, immigrated from Ireland has been the result of conflict, fame, and economic issues. The population of Ireland is about, okay, I read that already, so it's no need for me is to keep reading that again. Many people still refers to the Irish Scottish, and the Welsh and as Celtic culture, known as the base quar. Look, y'all, I said that wrong, so I don't even know. Contrary, sharing many DNA traits with the Irish. That lets you know this is something that was going on, you know, that it was all about basically to unite us under them, because y'all know, you know, the history of Irish people, they owned slaves too. They did, because the Italians, they crucified Christ, and that's all under Irish. What nation of people crucified God? The Italians crucified Christ. Who are the Irish people?
According to Wikipedia, the Irish are a Celtic nation and ethnic group native to the island of Ireland, who share a common Irish ancestry, identity, and culture.
What did the Irish people do to the Jews? See, the whole purpose of this, the history of the Jews in Ireland, okay, hold on, extends back nearly 1,000 years, although the Jewish community has always been small in number. Now they're talking about the Jewish community. They want to call us Jewish, but they are the ones that's Jewish. You see what I'm saying? Them fake Jews that's over there in Israel, they are the Jewish people. They not the Jew, the real Jew. There's a difference between Jewish. The Jewish stands for the fake Jews. They took our identity. That means the other nations, the so-called white, they committed identity theft. That's what they did. The Jewish community has always been small in numbers, not exceeding 5,500 by religion, since at last 198 100 no, I'm sorry, wait a minute, my bad. 1891, it is well established, has generally been well accepted into Irish life. Jews in Ireland have historically enjoyed a reluctant tolerance that was largely abased elsewhere in Europe. See, they want to call us the Jewish. We're not Jewish. We're not Jewish. We are Jews. There's a difference between Jews and Jewish. Jewish means so-called, because those Irish people and the Italians and the Germans and the Europeans were the ones that stripped our people of their nationality and culture and stuff, and call themselves the Jews and call us Jewish. That's what they did. Even the so-called Africans, they're soulless. But, you know, a lot of people, they're not going, you know what I'm saying? They're not going to look into it, but I'm literally looking into this here, you know. In the history of Irish, they the Italians, they crucified Christ. You know, they are the ones that had us enslaved too. The Irish people had us enslaved, the Germans, the Britain, and the Arabs, the Chinese, and the Africans. They definitely enslaved us. So that's the history of what they done. They got a history of committing identity theft, especially the so-called white man. They all had us in slavery. All those nations that has a history of putting us in slavery, they gonna go into slavery. So I also talked a little bit about denomination this morning. You see what I'm saying? I talked a little bit about denomination, how denomination was started, how the Methodist Church was started. And let me go over it, Google it up. Hold on, wait a minute. I hit the wrong one. How did the Methodist Church start?
United Methodist Church was founded on 1968.
1968 is when the Methodist Church was. Let's go to the Methodist Wikipedia. Methodism, which is Methodist, also known as the Methodist movement, is a group of historically related denominations of Protestant Christianity. Now, the word Protestant is a word that comes from, what does that mean? Protestant means non-Catholic, not Catholic. And Christianity, which derived their inspiration from the life and teachings of John Wesley, George Whitefield, and John's brother, Charles Wesley, were also sufficient early leaders in the movement. It originated as a revival movement within the 18th century. The Church of England and became a separated denomination after Wesley's death. The movement spread it throughout the British Empire, the United States, and beyond because of vigorous missionary work, today claiming approximately 80 million adherents worldwide. Wesley's theology focused on sanctification and in effects of faith on the character of a Christian, distinguishing Methodist doctrines, including the new birth and the assurance of salvation, imputed righteousness, the possibility of perfection in love, the works of pity, and the primacy of Scripture. Most Methodists teach that Jesus Christ, the Son of God, died for all of humanity, and that salvation is available for all. In theology, this view is known as numerous. These teachings reject the Calvinist position that God has preordained the salvation of a select group of people. However, Whitefield, several other early leaders of the movements was considered Calvinist, Methodist, and held to the Calvinistic position. Let's see here. I lost what was. Methodist. Okay, wait a minute. Methodism emphasizes cheerily and oh man. But anyway, this Methodist is a movement. It was some kind of movement, is to bring England and all the other nations together. That's why they call it United Methodist. And then they say East Side Pentecost, like in the East. Israel is in the Middle East, and they over there fighting with Israel in the Middle East, all of the other nations. The U.S. is, especially. What does Methodist mean? Okay, yeah, that's what Methodists mean. Number one, a number of Christian Protestant denomination originated in the 18th century evangelistic movement of the Charles and John Wesley and George Whitefield. These were people that came under together of one consent, is to unite England and the Saxons and the Britons and all those other nations together. It was all about Methodist means of denomination of believers and stuff like that got together, and they wanted to unite people under their kingdom, that, you know, which is Christianity anyway. And so that's how the Methodist Church got started, and this movement started in the 18th century. This was a movement that started in the 18th century. So I'll stop it right there, people, because I got some things I got to do today, and I got to take care of. Peace and love to my people of color. I'm out.